Ciao, Georgetta Gankars here, and we spoke about making an abstract figure, and we talked about how we did that last week, and I did an example of explaining to students that what I do is I use my palette, and instead of just, using my regular wax paper, I paint on a canvas, and I use the canvas as my palette. And then what I do is when it's dry, I start looking at it, turning it different ways, and see what I can bring out of it. Can I bring a face? Can I bring flowers? Can I bring a landscape? Can I bring a still life? Can I bring a portrait? Can I bring a figure? Can I bring an animal? And as you see, we started on this one. This was kind of just, an old canvas. It just had color on it. And we started building out the flower pot. And these are the stems for the leaves. And then we put flowers on top. The same thing happened here. This was basically just a canvas, and it was just a lot of color on top. And then what we did is we started bringing out a figure. And you can see what I was doing is it's really abstraction as far as bringing out all the colors. That was really important to me to show all of the colors of the figure. So let's continue with this one. And what I'm doing is I'm just having a wonderful sense of balance in that sense, where I want to bring out these oranges because I have oranges on the other side. And I'm using the palette knife because I'll show you something. When I scrape with the knife, right, I'll do it again, it doesn't pick up everything. It only picks up the paint that's kind of underneath of it. So I can get many layers of it at once. And I get this wonderful layering, because it's only picking up the outer, what's underneath, and you get all these layers of colors all at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this up, and I encourage you to try doing that, taking an old palette again and trying to build up the colors. Think about contrasting colors. Now I'm giving her like this wonderful purple hair, because I think it really vibrates with that orange. And you can do it with the knife or the brush. You can see how drastically it will change. And, don't be afraid to use colors, too, that you would never think about using. For an example, you have this really beautiful blue that really just pops, right? Instead of just sticking to a brown or a blonde. And think about every time you're moving that blue, you're just moving it somewhere else. And I'm moving it in areas where I know there's going to be lots of a contrast, because I have it against the yellow here. I could just make those yellows pop. So there's a lot of placement of warm against cool colors, and you can see how that's just coming out. And I'm going to probably build this up with so many more layers of paint. It's going to look drastically different in about 15 minutes. So again, use an old canvas, try it out. I'll show you what we did. And play with the colors. Don't be afraid to change the colors and play with the colors and build them up. Okay, look what's happening here with all that texture. Again, it is an abstraction. So feel free to experiment. If you've never used bright colors, try using them. I'm going to be using some lime greens in here, which is really going to make this pop. So I'm going to put this aside because after I do this, I do want to show you what we did as far as the other canvases that I made with the same exact idea of just using an old kind of recycled palette, okay? So I got this beautiful landscape with all these textures. You see what I'm just dragging the knife and brush. You can just put your hands across it. It's so wonderful. And this was just an old canvas that I had that I wanted to recycle. You could see my house and my trees. So what do you have when this was just me just taking the brush and dabbing it. And this is what I got. And if you look at a lot of Impressionist painters, you'll see, if you look at their paintings, right, that's all you see. It's a bunch of lines, right? Beautiful color lines, beautiful texture. So try experimenting, trying something like that, just looking at what you have on your palette and see what you can come up with. I have students that sometimes they're looking at their palette, it has a bunch of colors, and they've built a beautiful landscape just out of that, right? You can turn your canvas different ways. If you're using your palette, you can turn it around and it becomes something amazing. Just even looking at this tissue that I was kind of wiping my brush on. If this was on a canvas, what could I do with this? I could do so much with this, and I could build up around this and make this become something. So try experimenting. If you don't want to waste a canvas, try it on wax paper and do it on your wax paper, or try it on watercolor paper and let me know how it works out. See you in class. Ciao.